Ms. Curtis, you say this court date is extremely important to you. You're here to prove to your ex-fiancé, Mr. Buckley, that he fathered your 22-month-old son, Xavier, because his denial has left you homeless and in need of help.
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Buckley, you say Ms. Curtis is a cheater, and today the test will prove you are not the father. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
So, Ms. Curtis, you say today's results mean everything. Explain.
Well, Your Honor, I grew up with a father. I know how important it is to have a father in your life. And Mr. Buckley says it's very important for our child to grow up with a father. And so, with him being in and out of our lives and kicking us out of his...
Take your time. I know it's difficult.
With him being in and out of our life and kicking us, not only me, but his son out of his apartment, we landed in a homeless shelter.
I did not.
And I was not
true,
known as Champ Press Curtis. I was known as Resident 1625, sleeping in a twin-size bed with my son.
That's not true, Your
Sharing-
Honor. I did not kick her out.
Sharing everything with other residents in the homeless shelter.
You say he kicked you out, Ms. Curtis?
He went to his landlord, and his landlord sent me an eviction notice. I had just had surgery.
Is that true, Mr. Buckley?
Yes, that is true, Your Honor, but I allowed her to live in my apartment at that time. I was being nice to her. She got mad at me because I was with someone else. I didn't want a relationship with her. She told me she was gonna make my life a living hell while living in my apartment. And that's why I called my landlord. I was being nice to Mrs. Curtis.
At this point, did you believe her son, Xavier, was your biological child?
No, Your Honor. No, Your Honor.
Ms. Curtis, in your mind, while you're living with Mr. Buckley, did you think he had accepted that Xavier was his biological child?
Yes, he said he had a little doubt in his mind, but that when he looked at Xavier, that was his son. That was his child, that he loved our child. He gave him his last name.
Your Honor, I don't think I can have kids for multiple reasons.
It only takes one fast one. One.
So you don't believe you can have children?
No, Your Honor.
Why?
Your Honor, I was in a relationship before and we tried to conceive a child. We went to fertility specialists and we were on medicine and kept up with ovulation dates and the whole nine, and it didn't happen. As soon as we separated, she ended up having 2 other children. And that happened in not only that relationship, but with the following relationship that I was in.
So you've never believed you could have children?
No, Your Honor.
So what happens when Miss Curtis tells you, I'm pregnant?
Told her congratulations. Whose is it?
No, you didn't.
That's pretty much what I said.
No, you said you told every other girl you were in a relationship with, congratulations, who's the father? But I was different. That you were willing to step up and be his father, which you haven't done.
I haven't done that because of you.
Because of me?
Yes.
It's just a drive away. You got a car. You can drive.
You were living in my apartment. I allowed you to live in my apartment. You
and
left
still
because I didn't want to be with you.
No, I didn't leave because I didn't want to be with you.
Yes. Every time I came over there, it was pure heck.
We lived together.
I allowed you to. You had your own apartment.
Yes. But every time I went home, you asked us to come back over.
Yes.
Because you wanted to spend time with your son, and I wasn't standing between that.
But you are now.
No, I'm not standing between that, but I'm not going to let you mess with my head. You can leave me out of the equation and see your son. That's your child. Don't play with me.
Your Honor, I have multiple reasons to have doubt about Xavier being my child.
This is not about your relationship. It really is about Xavier, this child, and his paternity. That's it. When she told you she was pregnant, did you believe that there maybe was a miracle and you did father this child?
Not at first, Your Honor, no.
What happened?
As the months continued to go along, I continued to get older and I wanted a child. I accepted Xavier as my child, even though I don't think I can have kids.
Joey, I know when I conceived. I know who I was with when I conceived.
I know who you were with too, and it wasn't just me.
So staying at your house and spending Christmas with you? Who was I having sex with? Your brothers? Your uncle?
No.
What happened during the conception period? It was during the holidays?
Yes, it was Christmas.
She told me.
I was supposed to go home for Christmas, and I couldn't afford to go home. So he volunteered for me to spend Christmas with him and his family.
Your Honor, she also told me she had sex with someone while she was pregnant. So why?
While I was pregnant is different than when I conceived.
Before he was conceived, you were with other people.
No, I wasn't.
Yes,
I worked 8-9 hours a day, and then I went over to your apartment.
That means you got plenty of other hours left.
From leaving work at 4:30 and being at your house by 5, where do I have time between packing my clothes and getting a ride over there to have sex with somebody else? Because I'm not a 5-minute quickie.
If you want more episodes of Paternity Court, make sure to subscribe and click on the notification bell. So take me to the day you gave birth, Miss Curtis.
I was in labor for 13 and a half hours. Mr. Buckley was with me for the whole 13 and a half hours. I have pictures of him at the hospital.
I'd like to see those.
I ended up having to have an emergency
Thank you.
C-section because little Xavier's oxygen level dropped and he was in distress. And they took me in for an emergency C-section and my mom came with me. And when I woke up and they wheeled me by the nursery to see him, Mr. Buckley was standing there with tears running down his face. That was the moment that I fell in love with Mr. Buckley. He'd been standing there since he came into the nursery until I got rode to my room about 2:30. That's a couple hours, him standing there just looking at our beautiful son. Something that we made together, something that I never thought was possible.
Something that I don't think is possible, Your Honor.
But in this photo, it doesn't look like, I see tears in your eyes, Mr. Buckley. What do you feel when you look at that picture?
It's impossible to describe. There's no way to put it into words. I just don't, like I said, I don't think I can have kids. I've been there, I tried, and...
When you look at that picture, it doesn't look like you don't believe. It doesn't look like you aren't there. It looks like you're in the moment and you're looking at your new baby. What were you feeling in the moment?
My heart and my mind are at a constant battle. My heart wants him to be, but my mind knows better. What you see right there is my heart.
If your mind knew better, why did you sign the birth certificate?
Because of my heart's.
Why did you sign the acknowledgement of paternity? You want to talk about you have doubts that you couldn't have kids? I went through chemo and radiation. They told me all my eggs were fried, that I would never be a mother. But I'm a mother to a beautiful little boy.
Your Honor, Miss Curtis and I were not monogamous at the time.
You weren't. You can't say what I wasn't.
She is extremely promiscuous. My witness here can tell you a little bit about that later, but...
So you're saying, sir, in addition to your doubt as it relates to your own medical challenges and not believing and being told you would not be able to father children, you also believe that Miss Curtis was very promiscuous at the time?
Correct, Your Honor.
I'd like to hear from your witness. Please stand, ma'am.
Hello.
I'd like to hear from your witness. Please stand, ma'am.
Hello.
Hello. State your name for the court.
Anika Bunch.
Ms. Bunch, you are Mr. Buckley's
Friend.
All right. And what information do you have concerning Xavier's paternity?
Your Honor, I have a lot of information. I actually brought a sketch with me.
I would like to see it. The exhibit here, please step to it.
This right here, Your Honor, this is my house, my back door. And this is Mrs. Curtis' front door. And as you can see,
true.
I can see everything. We were friends. We've been friends. I told her, I see you. When we found out she was pregnant, she had a boyfriend. He passed away. They were together. And mind you, there were other men.
So what you're saying is from your back door.
That's not true, Your Honor. I lived at the top of a hill. She lived at the bottom.
This is
true,
my house, and this is hers.
And I lived on this end.
Her
and she
back
lived
door
on this end.
is right here.
There's a straight line of sight from her back door to her front door.
Everything. She knows, and she done came and confided in me and told me about the other guys.
What
Some around,
exactly
but
could you see from your door to
I can
hers?
see men coming out of this door, and her
How?
running
When I
up
don't
there,
even use that
and
door.
her running up to the Africans up at the other apartments up top.
The Africans I
They
was
were her-
teaching English to
She-
because he came from Africa and
That's a
didn't
lie.
speak English.
That is a lie.
He didn't speak
He spoke English to me.
Thank you so much for your testimony, ma'am. So, Ms. Curtis, you are denying Ms. Bunch's accusations. Is that true?
Yes, Your Honor. There was other men coming in and out of my house, but I wasn't sleeping with those other men.
And there was no old boyfriend that was still lingering around?
We had stopped messing around before I even met Mr. Buckley.
That's
And he
not true,
passed
Your
away.
Honor. That's not true, Your Honor. I was told stories about her being with him while we were together. She would go back to her apartment and mess around. But at the time Xavier was conceived, we were not in a relationship.
Were you in a relationship at the time Xavier was conceived, Ms. Curtis?
No, Your Honor.
You
I was
weren't?
not. Me and Mr. Buckley were just hanging out and kicking it and having sex.
Casual sex.
So you're on the birth certificate, Mr. Buckley.
And I have
Are
proof
you
of that, too.
I'd like to see that. Are you currently paying child support?
I'm on
No, he
child
quit his
support,
job so he
Honor.
wouldn't have to.
I'm working right now. I'm missing out on
Just
work right
started.
now. I just started back.
All right, so here on the birth certificate, father's name, Xavier Buckley.
Yes, Your Honor.
That's you.
Correct.
You signed it voluntarily.
Yes, yes, Your Honor.
And is there a child support order?
Yes, Your Honor.
There is.
Yes.
How much per week are you obligated to pay?
I'm not exactly sure.
He was supposed to pay $216 a month, and then when he quit his job, they dropped it down to $80 a month. I do everything on my own.
Are you current on your child support, sir?
No, he's
Your Honor.
$3,000 behind.
Your Honor, I just got my first child support statement in the mail, so it's not like I've been neglecting it. And like I said, she was living in my apartment.
No, because you got child support papers when I was living there.
You checked the mail. I wasn't there.
You were there because you asked me to call and have you taken off child support because you were willing to be with me.
No, because
Because
you were
we were
living in
living
my
together.
apartment. I wasn't living there.
Exactly. So why would I take you off child support?
Because
you
you
ain't
were
doing
living
nothing.
in my apartment.
And you still not providing for your child.
Mr. Buckley, if you said you had doubts, you say it's your heart that drove you to sign the birth certificate, even though your mind had doubts. Did you understand that because you signed that birth certificate, you would be legally obligated to provide support for this child?
Yes, Your Honor. My family made me well aware of that, and my entire family begged me not to sign it. Like I said, I did it out of my heart.
Because even today, if the results prove that you are not Xavier's biological father, you are still deemed to be his legal father. There is no guarantee that the court in your home state will remove you from that birth certificate or relieve you of that legal obligation. Do you understand?
I do now, Your Honor.
That's an obligation that extends minimally 18 years.
I could care less if my son grew up with this man in his life. I've been doing this by myself for almost 2 years.
That's why I allowed her to move into my apartment against my landlord's wishes.
And then made it so unbearably uncomfortable.
I was never there.
You come in on nights after being out kicking it, want to sleep in the bed with
I would
us,
sleep on the
wanna-
couch. You would get mad at me because I would try and sleep on the couch.
No, you would come and crawl in bed.
That's a lie, Your Honor.
It is obvious you all have so many unresolved issues. I don't even know, are you broken up? It sounds like you're still together.
No, we're not
No,
together.
Your Honor.
You act like it.
This is about Xavier.
Well, that's why we're here. This court exists because we want to protect Xavier. We want him to know who his biological father is, and we want to figure out how we can help you all move forward. I have the results for you. These results were prepared by DNA Diagnostics, and they read as follows. In the case of Curtis versus Buckley, when it comes to 22-month-old Xavier Buckley, it has been determined by this court, Mr. Buckley, you are not his father.
Oh, baby. Go down.
I'm very sorry. Miss Curtis,
I wasn't with anybody else.
Obviously, you were with someone else.
Jesus, Lord.
Xavier was born 40 weeks after conception. December 24th to September 24th is 40 weeks.
I need you to stop this right now, babe. He's not the father. I don't know what you're wrestling with, sweetheart, but you are a ball of nerves, anger. You just wound up.
Your Honor, I'm still willing to be in Xavier's life. The way he looks at me, the way he runs up to me. Now all the drama and extracurricular stuff can be cut short. I'm still willing to be in his life.
Miss Foster, you say getting pregnant at the age of 17 pushed you into adulthood sooner than you expected. You claim Mr. Durden is denying your 15-month-old son, Ian Durden Jr. You are asking the court to order a paternity test so you can prove he is the father because you're struggling financially to make it on your own.
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Durden, you say the court should not order a DNA test because you are 100% sure that you are not Ian Jr.'s father and you have proof. So, Ms. Foster, has Mr. Durden contributed anything at all for the baby?
No, Your Honor, he has not. I'm a single parent. Maybe once a pair of shoes when he was a little baby, but other than that, I pay for all the expenses, shoes, clothes, car seat, outings, anything you can think of, pretty much done by myself.
And so, Mr. Durden, you haven't helped at all?
No, I haven't. And the simple fact because I haven't helped because I don't want to get too attached to a baby that's not mine.
He has your name.
Yeah, Your Honor, I agree with that. And the reason because he has my name is because I was kind of like pushed to sign a birth certificate.
No, that is not true. We used to talk all the time about, if we have children, like I want my son to have my name.
I want to have my son to have my name.
Your Honor, he is definitely the father of this child, no doubt.
And you say you're struggling to make ends meet, and that's why you're asking this court to order a paternity test, and you also need help.
Yes. Like, my days are long. I call for the babysitter comes, I get ready for work, wait for the bus to come, get on the bus, go to work, come home, late nights, he sleep most of the time, so I don't even get to spend time with him when I get home. It's sickening to even sit here and have to go through this. He's not someone I just had a one-night stand with. We were in a relationship.
You submitted to the court your financial statements that outline how much money it's costing you
Yes, I
to
do.
raise Ian pretty much by yourself.
Yes, Your Honor, I do.
You say your expenses, just for you, $750. That's food, getting back and forth to work, etc. For the baby, you're spending about $1,535 a month in diapers, clothes, food, etc. for the baby.
Right, yes, Your Honor.
So that totals $2,285,
Yes,
which
Your Honor,
leaves
it
you in the negative every month. $637.
Yes.
So you're going under and you're going under fast.
Very. And it's just like I wouldn't even have to be in the negatives if I had a sit.
So you also submitted to the court that if Mr. Durden contributed financially monthly, just pretty much $750 for you, $767.50, which would be his contribution, you would have about $130 left over.
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Durden, I mean, the numbers don't lie. Without your contribution, this young woman she's sinking financially, trying to take care of this child.
I understand that she is.
And you admit you have not participated financially to this point.
Yes, and the reason because every time we had sex, I used condoms.
And that is not true. And I
That
have
is-
proof of
that is
that
actually
not
true.
being true.
And that's why you're saying, Mr. Durden, the court should not order a paternity test. There's no need because you say you used a condom every single time.
Exactly, because I spent my money on condoms.
So, yeah, clearly on condoms, but not on the baby. that's
That baby
named
has nothing
after
to do with
you.
me. It's not my baby. She didn't even let me know she went to the doctor.
That does not matter. I wanted to make sure that I was pregnant before I bring it to him. You know, nobody wants to just like, okay, I'm pregnant.
And even if
then
that
it's
is the
not even
case-
sure. If it's not the case, we did use condoms sometimes. Not all the time, not
All the
100%
time.
of the time. No, that's not true. Me and Ian broke up. After that, he wanted to talk. He called me to a restaurant. We sat down and we talked for him. He just kept eyeing my phone. So when he was eyeing my phone, he took it, he ran in the bathroom with it, read some text messages that were between me and a guy that
Saw a picture.
we were talking on social media. We were on a break. Me and Ian were not together. He was someone who was comforting me at the time. It was not anything. We never had sex or anything like that.
Mr. Durden, what did you see on the phone?
I just saw messages with her, and when I saw that, I saw a picture too, actually. She took a selfie with a guy in a car, and it was the guy who took her to the doctor for the sonogram of the baby.
Okay.
So, wait, there was another guy at your sonogram?
He was there when he was not.
But if that's my child, you would be willing to let me know things before you take action.
He wanted nothing to do with me. Like, he ignored me. When I was pregnant the entire time, I barely spoke to him. So it's just like somebody was there when you were not. I wasn't having sex with him. He wasn't my boyfriend. He was just there when you weren't.
That's
and
still
that
not an
night,
excuse.
that same night that he took my phone and ran with it, I finally got him to come to the house so I can just sit down and talk to him. He didn't want to talk. Ian wanted to have sex, so we did. And it was without a condom. And I believe that's the night that my son was conceived.
So this is what you believe is the conception night when you all had
Yes, Your Honor.
the makeup sex, pretty much.
Yes, Your Honor.
And you did not use protection?
No.
Do you remember that night, Mr. Durden?
Not quite. I do not remember the night, but I do remember buying condoms because I'm spending.
Well, you didn't use...
I'm spending my money on
Right, it's
condoms.
one thing to buy them, it's another thing to actually use them. Mr. Durden, you said you signed the birth certificate.
Yes, Your Honor.
The child's named after you. Why did you sign
And
the
it
birth
was a
certificate?
problem with the child being named after me. She didn't want the child to be named after me.
So you lobbied for that?
It took her mother and I think one of her friends to tell her it's the right thing to do if the baby's his.
But I'm confused. You say this child is not yours and you have proof, so I don't even have to order a
When
paternity test.
we was in the hospital room, I didn't really want to embarrass her in front of her mom and her sisters and stuff.
But nobody forced you to sign anything. He didn't have to sign a birth certificate. He claimed
She
the
was
child
crying.
He claimed the child was not his. Tears or no tears. It's just like nobody forced you to do anything. You signed it because you wanted to.
The reason I come to the hospital because I wanted to try to be a man.
You left as a little boy.
I didn't want to get too attached to this child because in my head, this child is not mine. I know for a fact this child is not mine. Condoms are 98%. Sure.
Well, we're the 2% because
I mean, let's be honest. They're not 100% effective. And my trouble with your argument here today is that you say on the one hand, there's no way in the world you could be this child's father. On the other hand, you're saying your mother and everybody convinced her to name the child after you. And you signed the birth certificate. I'm trying to give you the opportunity to prove to me why it is absolutely unnecessary for me to order a test, but the more you testify, the more obvious it is to me that a test is needed. Now, you say you're 100% sure. Besides the condoms and the fact that you buy them and you buy them and you buy them, I get that. What else? How is it you know for certain this is not your child?
Because, Your Honor, the reason I know this is not my child is because I remember one time at school, we didn't go to the same school. So it's kind of hard to trust somebody that's not you. I don't even see her every day. So I had a phone call, one afternoon when we got out of school, I had a phone call from a friend. He was telling me that he saw Ivy with someone else.
I have friends, like, people see me with
Nah,
people all the time.
it wasn't that type of friend at all. It wasn't that type of friend. It was the type of friend you flirt with. It was the type of friend that, oh, your boyfriend is not around, so let me do this.
I never flirted with anybody, never had sex with anybody else. Ian is the one and only person that I've ever had sex with.
That's a lie.
So it's just like, how can you prove that? How can you prove that? I have never had sex with anybody else. It was my first and my last. Sitting here fighting who's the baby's fault, there is no other person that could be. The child looks just like him.
That child don't look like me.
Well, I have a picture of Ian Sr. when he was a baby.
I'd like to see this evidence, please. You submitted pictures to the court. One is Ian Jr. and the other is Mr. Durden as a child.
The exact same eyes, exact same complexion. If you were to remove the names, you would not know who was who.
Mr. Durden, do you see a resemblance?
No, I don't.
You don't?
I have evidence right here that's saying the safety of protection of condoms.
You are doing a condom ad today in this court.
Because
And listen, I applaud you for wearing them and practicing safe sex, I do. But there is that 2%.
not in
You brought a witness, I'd like to hear from her. Ms. Jones, what do you know about this situation?
Well, this is my brother, Mr. Durden, and he's like my best friend. And one day we had a talk about Miss Foster and the baby, and he stated that she's pregnant. Like, I didn't even know they was having intercourse because they so young, they kids. So he also said that she cheated on him with her best friend, and her best friend looked exactly like my brother.
Really?
They can go for twins.
It was the boy she took a selfie with who took her to the doctor and she didn't let me know nothing about.
That's why I have my doubts too, because if they use condoms and she cheated on him around the time she conceived the baby, so it's a possibility that he can be the father also, because
Right.
they look exactly alike.
That's what's going on in your mind.
And then it's crazy because his family was at work when they made sure my brother came down there to the hospital to sign a birth certificate. Basically, they forced him to sign a birth certificate when she
had no
she
force.
know that he is not the father of that baby.
He is
she
a
had
grown
sex with
man.
another
At the time, Ian was 18 when he signed the birth certificate. Nobody can force anyone
But-
to sign any legal documents if they do not want to.
But at the same
He had
time,
a choice.
That's what happens.
He
with
made the
kids
choice.
Having kids, they go through things like this.
Let's get down to the bottom line. The stakes are really high here because if this court does not order a paternity test, Mr. Durden's on the birth certificate. You understand this. You're standing here today saying, we don't need to have a test, that's not my child, but you are that child's legal father because you signed your name on the birth certificate. So, by not wanting a paternity test, you're basically saying, this is not my child, but I agree to be financially responsible for him for the rest of his life till he's 18 years old.
And I first got to the hospital. I went there by myself. I talked to my mom. My mom was like, you need to do the right thing. So when I went to the hospital by myself, I saw that she was with her mother and her sister. And when I got there, I first held the baby as the picture you saw before. And when I held the baby, I thought to myself, this baby cannot be mine. It was kind of hard. I wasn't ready to be a father at all. I felt like I was holding a friend's child. And her family stepped out and the doctor came back in with the birth certificate. And I was sitting there with Ivy. I was like, should I put my name on this? And she was like, why not? She was even tearing up at the time.
Then you make the decision, I'm gonna sign the birth certificate.
And the reason why I made the decision, I signed the birth certificate because I didn't really want to embarrass her in front of her family.
It's embarrassment. You coming
it's
up
like
here.
a move needed to be made. So I said, what the heck, man? Like, just, just put the ink on there.
Well, you understand that that's not getting it over with, that's getting it started. You know, you're 19 years old, but you have to understand, signing a birth certificate isn't some arbitrary execution of, you are saying I am the legal father of this child. I'm taking responsibility for this child. I am acknowledging that this is my child and I will take care of this child. Do you know you were saying that?
At the time, I did not understand that.
Well, you still don't understand it if you're in here saying that you don't want a paternity test. You need to be saying, please. At the end of the day, this court's decision is going to be as to what's in the best interest of this child. And in light of the testimony I've heard thus far, it is obvious to me that it is necessary and imperative to order a paternity test. I want you two to leave here submit to the testing immediately, and we will return to this courtroom for the results. Do you understand?
Yes, Your Honor.
Court is adjourned. We're back in session in the case of Foster versus Durden. In our last session, you were ordered to submit to paternity testing, which you have, and we have the results here today. Before we go to the results, though, have you all had time to think about your positions? Are you still believing, Ms. Foster, that unequivocally Mr. Durden is the biological father of your son?
Yes, Your Honor.
And how about you, Mr. Durden? You first said that there was absolutely no way. No way.
I still feel like that, Your Honor. 100% this is not my baby.
Jerome, let's go to the results.
Okay.
These results were prepared by DNA Diagnostics, and they read as follows. In the case of Foster versus Durden, when it comes to 15-month-old Ian Durden Jr., it has been determined by this court, Mr. Durden, you are the father.
Can I say something, please?
What would you like to say, ma'am?
I don't think that I'm going to be able to get over the hurt. I'm overjoyed, that he knows now, that it's true. You are the father, but it's just like, what are you going to do differently?
Well, that's a good question, Ms. Foster. Ms. Allen, you say that after a brief affair with Mr. Childs, you discovered you were pregnant with your daughter, Ms. Baylor. You say Mr. Childs acknowledged paternity until his wife convinced him otherwise. You intend to prove that Mr. Childs is, in fact, your daughter's father. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Childs, you admit to the affair with Ms. Allen, but say she was involved with several other people around the time of conception. You and your wife contend that you are not Ms. Baylor's father. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Ms. Allen, why is Mr. Childs denying your daughter?
His petty wife. She been
excuse me,
doing that for years. She wasn't there when we were sleeping together or nothing. So I don't think she have anything to do with it.
So you're basically blaming his wife?
Yes.
She should blame herself, Your Honor.
What?
Why did it take you 20 years to figure out that you should get a DNA test?
Because
for her?
I didn't need to go through the drama. I didn't need to go through the drama with you.
Let's talk one at a time, because I do want to understand this. How did you all even get together?
She was friends with cousins of mine, and we got together like that. We ended up messing around or whatever. Nothing serious.
So you all get together, you have mutual friends, you start having sex.
Well,
obviously
actually,
unprotected.
it started like this. We had a friend that got killed. And me and him, we would, I would call and check on him and things like that. Then one day, I just came through after a football game, and he wanted to ride with me. And so we went on and had drinks or whatever. And then that's when we had sex.
Is this the night you believe you conceived, after
Yes.
the football game and the drinks?
Yes.
Was this the only time you were intimate with Mr. Child?
We just did it like maybe a couple times after that.
Okay, so this didn't extend for a long time. This is just a few encounters.
Yeah.
Then you say you got pregnant. And once you got pregnant, did you tell Mr. Childs, I'm pregnant and I think it could be yours?
Actually, it was rumors. So he came
You
to me.
spread the rumor. People are coming
Okay,
to me.
if I had family and I'm pregnant or whatever, but
Why aren't you telling the truth? You didn't know who the father was.
Well, you knew that from day one.
You were telling that.
You knew that from day one.
That's not what you were saying, though. The
You
rumor
knew
that
that
you put
from day
out there.
one.
Hold on,
the rumor
I'm
that you
going
put
to
out
give
there was
both
the
of you
child's
a
mind.
chance to respond to the other, but I want to understand. Ms. Allen, what is your contention?
I told him, I said, she may be your child.
You told him directly?
Yes. I told him, I said, it's a possibility that she may
So
not
you
be
said
yours.
it is a possibility that she may not be yours.
Exactly.
So you acknowledge this doubt.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
Okay, so Mr. Child.
Yes, ma'am.
How did the story go in your assessment?
Your Honor, listen, wasn't no, hey, listen, I'm trying to get at you or anything like that. No, never that. It's just a moment that happened. So I even asked her, once I found out, I heard she was pregnant, hey, are you supposed to be pregnant by me? Oh, I don't know. I don't know if it's yours or not. So I'm like, okay, I'll tell you what. if you're pregnant and it's mine, let's get a DNA test. We can go ahead and get this out of the way. Have no problem with taking care of her because she would have been my first. I don't see her again for months, probably longer than that, Your Honor.
So, Ms. Allen, when Ms. Baylor was born, you didn't invite him to the birth.
No.
Did you invite any other man?
No.
Did you inform the other possibility or the other possibilities that they may be the father
Yes.
as well? You did?
Yes.
Okay. If you say he might be the father, why are you in court today saying that he is the
Because
father?
I was messing with him first.
How do you know?
From the, what you mean? How do I know that? I had to go through the drama with Miss Johnson. Up and down the road, she following me.
How can she remember me chasing her up and down the street, but she can't remember who fathered her child? Why am I living in her head rent free, but she can't remember who fathered her child? Furthermore, Your Honor, he's always been there for my children. So this little song and dance she doing, I'm telling the truth. Why would she?
Yeah, whatever.
Okay, I think it's important to know too. When we met her daughter, the daughter told us that she had tested someone else. Why didn't you test him first?
So, Ms. Allen, there has been testimony which indicates that you also tested another man.
Yeah, she did.
Is that true?
Okay, that is true.
Okay.
That is true.
Tell the court about that.
That is true, but that was somebody that I wasn't even messing with him. This was something that
Why are you testing
came
him?
Why would
about.
you test someone you aren't messing with?
Because
He
was fishing.
He came out and asked me, and he said, I was messing with your mom around the time. I wanted to get a DNA test with you.
Okay, someone reached out to you,
Yes.
Ms. Baylor, and said, I think I may be your father, and I want to have a test.
Yeah, I want to have a test.
But Ms. Allen, you say this person was never a consideration.
No, and I told him that, but he was insisting on it. I was like, that is not, I wasn't even messing with you back then.
So the bottom line is, Ms.
She don't know. That's the bottom line.
Allen, you have not had a DNA test with any of the other true potential fathers.
Right.
Okay, so Shinesha, Ms. Baylor, were you always told Mr. Childs was your biological father?
To be honest, Your Honor, I was about 14 when I first found out my sister's dad wasn't my dad. Just hearing rumors, just going over my grandmother's house in Bowling Green. And that's where basically he is from. And everybody would come to me like, you're my cousin, TJ's your dad. I'm like, I don't know who TJ is. Who is TJ? And I went about it myself. I found him on Facebook, hit him up, and I said, look, I don't know what's going on, but I do actually want to know.
And did I ever once deny you?
Nah, you never did.
Never once. Never once. A child looking for a father, Your Honor, and I stand a chance of being there, I'm gonna be there. I'm gonna be there. You can ask her. We conversated, we talked everything.
So, Ms. Baylor, first you believed until you were 14 years old that your sibling's father was your biological father.
Her stepfather.
Then people were murmuring, and you were told by whom that that was not your biological father.
Well, basically, my stepdad was telling me stories, and he said when he met my mom, then she was already pregnant with me.
Okay.
So
your stepfather told you the truth.
Yes, so I actually, I don't know if he meant to, but when he told me, I was just like, I just started asking questions. I just wanted to know.
Right. And
I wanted to get to the bottom of it.
Yes.
She knew. I told her, sit down and told her the whole story.
Yeah, she told me after. She didn't tell me before, but she told me after the fact when my stepdad did say that.
Okay.
She sat down and talked to me when I brought it to her attention, like, I don't know what's going on, I'm confused.
I know,
I'm confused too.
I know, and that's why I'm trying to understand this, because at the end of the day, you have a right to understand
Exactly.
what happened.
Your Honor, in 2006, I got in touch with Miss Baylor, and I told her that I wanted to meet Shy.
11 years ago, you would have been 9, Miss Baylor.
Yes, ma'am.
So you made an attempt
Yes,
to meet
ma'am.
Miss
Yes,
Baylor
ma'am.
at 9 years old.
Yes, ma'am.
But you weren't informed of
I
any
met
of this
her.
till you were 14.
No, ma'am, I met her. I sat down and talked to her at Miss Allen's house.
I never denied that he
Then why
never
wouldn't you
tried.
tell her? Why wouldn't you tell her that?
I felt like I never saw this man in my life. Like when people was telling me when I was 14, I'm like, I don't know
She
nobody
doesn't
named
remember,
TJ.
but
I don't
he did.
remember him or
He
none
did,
of this.
you know.
I mean, you were only 9. You
all.
don't remember him at all.
remember nothing.
And let me ask you this, Mr. Childs. It seems as if you were making earnest attempts to find out? Is it that you still had a question in your mind, so you were just trying to see it through?
I just wanted to see it through, Your Honor. I'm saying like this, if it was such a struggle for her to raise her by herself, and you know where I am, if I'm such a bad person, go get child support. When we went to child support, I would have got a DNA test, and this would have been taken care of years ago. I've been going on years, Your Honor, with people saying, oh, you know Shai's your daughter. Oh, you know Shai's your daughter. I don't want people looking at me like, oh, you're a deadbeat dad. No, I do what I have to do to take care of my family.
So wait, I want to ask Miss Allen, if this was the man you truly believed was your child's father, why didn't you ever pursue child support?
I basically was working and just taking care of her on my own.
Or was it that you just really knew that you didn't know for sure if it was him?
Well, it didn't even matter because I just was tired of going through the drama with her.
It didn't matter to you. You can't say that.
So I went on with my life. I took care of her by myself.
So, Ms. Allen, you never in the court system pursued a DNA test, nothing?
No.
All right.
Your Honor, she just made me feel like she wanted me to be the father by name. So if someone asked her who Shai's father was, she could say me. You know, Your Honor, I'm not being funny or anything, but okay, I was a good catch. I'm not gonna lie, I was a good catch. So I can understand, you know, where she was coming from then. I would have made sure she was fine. I would have made sure the child was fine. All that would have been good. What I'm saying is there was no way to keep up with her. You know, when she had the baby, Your Honor, she brought the baby to my mom's house one time. And I told her right then and there, look, Niecy, we can get this straight now so we don't have any problems in the future. She disappeared.
And you say he didn't say that, Miss Allen?
Mr. Charles was doing other things, and
I'm not saying I wasn't.
And I wasn't even the only one he was messing with. He was messing with my cousins and all that stuff. So that's why I just went on about my business.
What does that have to do with the child at hand, Your Honor?
Yeah, it doesn't, but at the same time.
That's what I'm saying. I've been going through, Your Honor. She's not concerned about her. She's concerned about her.
Mr. Child.
Yeah, I'm concerned about her too.
You want my name through the mud for years, Niecy.
How did I bring your name through the mud?
You've been telling people she my baby, we won't take a DNA test. How is that not running my name through the mud?
Okay.
People looking at me like I don't take care of a child. You crazy?
Okay.
It's funny to you, it ain't funny to me.
I'm not, hey, do what you gotta do.
Of course you
All
are.
I'm saying is we here for her.
Listen.
Your Honor, can I say
Mr. Childs, you have other children?
Yes, ma'am. Well taken care of. She knows I would have took great care of this girl. Great care.
So, Mr. Childs and Miss Johnson, do you have any additional doubt?
Oh, yes, ma'am.
You
yes,
do?
Ma'am.
Okay.
I have some evidence right here, Your Honor.
Let me see the evidence, Jerome. Will you describe what this evidence is, sir?
My first evidence is with my children. All my children have 6 fingers, Your Honor. Both of my kids are very tall and look just like me. All my kids look just like me. You know, I'm not saying that, you know, that doesn't mean she's not my child. It's just that I feel I have strong genes. So, you know.
So you're saying all of your children,
Yes,
all
ma'am.
of your other children have been born with a 6th finger.
Yes, ma'am, just like myself.
And that's a physical characteristic you share with them.
Yes, ma'am.
Right. And when we were pregnant with the 7-year-old, we had an ultrasound done. And at that point, as soon as he hit my stomach, she lifted her hand up, and there it was dingling. That 6th finger. Another digit is what they called it. So if we asked them about that, and they said it would be hereditary, who got it?
Mr. Childs, are there other members of your family with this 6th finger?
No, ma'am.
Ms. Johnson, on your side?
I don't have it, but I found out later on, my dad had 6 fingers, but none of us, like my brother or sister, none of us.
And so the gene could have come from your side.
It could have, but it was just interesting, none of us.
So interesting.
Yep, they don't
So
have
Ms. Allen, are you still convinced that Mr. Childs is her biological father?
Yes.
You do believe that?
I really do.
After today's results, what are you hoping?
I mean, if he is, you know, the father, I want them to have a relationship. And, I mean, I'm out of it because she's 20. So, at the same time, if he's not, then we move on. That's fine with me.
I just have to say, you know, on your behalf, and I don't mean to speak for you, Ms. Baylor, but this is something she has not moved on. Mm-hmm. She deserves an answer. And I don't know, Chinese, it's been a lot of talk about the past and what people do and what they did, but I want you to know you matter. You are all that matters in this moment. What are your hopes?
Basically, I'm just hoping that I can just close this chapter that I do have open in my life. You know, if it's not closing, I'm gonna keep trying to close the chapter. There's nothing that I can be mad about because my mom been taking care of me since, you know.
Exactly. And I hope, as the adults here in this situation, you all can understand that I think it is so amazing that you can stand in this courtroom today and say, I'm not mad about it. But I do want you to understand that it is perfectly okay for you to be hurt about it. And that's okay to admit. This is a lot to have to process. And every girl, every boy, you need your dad. And even though you've had a wonderful experience being raised by your mother, it sounds like you had a nice stepfather as well. At 14 years old, to get that kind of news, and then from that point on for 6 more years beyond that, to have questions and confusion, you can be strong and still acknowledge that you're hurt. Family, are we ready for the results?
Yes, Doug.
Let's do it. Jerome? These results were prepared by DNA Diagnostics, and they read as follows. In the case of Baylor versus Childs, when it comes to 20-year-old Shinesha Baylor, it has been determined by this court. Mr. Childs, you are not the father.
That's okay.
I'm very sorry, Miss Baylor.
It's okay, Your Honor. You know, at the same time.
It's okay, honey. It's okay.
I would like to apologize to the both of you for that, and we can move on.
That's fine.
I really wanted to give you the closure you need and deserve, Miss Baylor, and I'm sorry this was not the answer, but I just want you to understand this is just one step. This now takes this particular question out of the picture, and now we move forward, right?